Welcome to another segment of provocative conversations destined to provoke further thought and spark greater questions regarding God, church, and the religious establishments of both the past and the present. I am the proud heretic, Mr. Provocateur himself. Hello. We will continue on with the generalities of this divine pandemic season. The general things that you can expect during or even throughout this season. This is just covering a broad spectrum of things that will occur, general happenings that will occur during this period that we are now in, during this very elongated period. Again, don't look at this period as being anything short, because it will be anything but short, or it will be everything but short. I stopped off on July the 2nd, 2020. This season will be filled with the temptation to go against what is occurring. We all know that now, or many people should know that by now, that there is a great temptation for people to go against what is occurring. People don't want to be locked down. People don't want to wear a mask. People don't want to be sanitary. People don't want to wear a face guard. People don't want to wear gloves. People don't want to not be able to go into restaurants, or not be able to go to football games, or even school or college or church. People don't want to do these things. People are fighting. You can go online and you can see all kinds of infighting that's going on because of what people are not wanting to see. People are not wanting to experience. People are not wanting to submit to. So you'll see people going into stores, fighting against a mask, people not wanting to wear gloves, people taking it personal. If you tell them to sanitize their hand, or you tell them you can't hug me, or I can't shake your hand, or anything of that nature. But anyway, there will be much temptation to go against the flow of this season. What is occurring during this season will tempt and even cause people to rebel against the direction of this season. This will be a season of utter rebellion. Many will seek to go against the events of this season. Many will rebel against the direction of this season. People will rebel against everything that is told to them during this season. People's hearts will not be open to receive what is said to them. People will reject what information is given to them during this season. You see that from the White House to the outhouse. You see that from the top of the chain all the way into the church and beyond. People do not want to be told anything regarding what they can and can't do, regarding the restrictions, and even regarding the WHO, the World Health Organization, and the CDC, the Center for Diseases. They don't want any of these people telling them what to do. The Dr. Fauci's of this world and the others, or any other scientists, or any other person who's speaking regarding the universe, the earth, and protecting the earth from all of the pollutants and all of the things that we're doing down here that's creating things in our atmosphere, pollution and earth warming and all of that type stuff. No one wants to hear, no one wants to admit or submit to what is being told to them. People's heart will not be open to receive what is said to them. People will reject what information is given to them during this season. They will continue along the path that has always been, the path of self-destruction. This is a dark period of self-destruction. People will self-destruct. This is a period where people self-destruct. This is a period where self-destruction will become the norm. Self-destruction will be the norm for this season, which is why you are seeing so many people go against what is being spoken to them. This will be a season where self-destruction will be the order of the day. Though this season will change certain people who have been prideful and rebellious before the pandemic will continue as they were prior to this season. Let me go through that again. Though this season will change people will change. Not all, but people will change. People who have been prideful and rebellious, you can see that in politics. You can see that in law enforcement. You can even see that to a certain degree in the healthcare system. People who have been prideful and rebellious before the pandemic will continue as they were prior to this season. This pandemic will not change such people. Some people are just not going to change. This season will not alter the behavior of certain people. Their ways are set. Their ways are already set. This season will harden certain such people. This season will only harden them to continue as they have always presented themselves to be. This season will set up new precedents. New precedents will be set during this season as in no other season. This season will have precedents in the magnitude of no other season. Precedents meaning this will be the first time that you see certain things. This season will set up certain other new things that have never been set up before, mandated before, instituted before, passed as a law before. Even in the medical system, definitely in the legal system, in the political system, and even in the economic system, within the prison system, within the systems of this world. No other season in history will compare with this season. This will be a season that is set apart from all other seasons in the history of humanity. This will be a season of its own. There are rough days ahead of you. This is what God was saying to me. There are rough days ahead of you. There will be rough days ahead of you. This stopped me to a degree in my boots. When God says days are rough, days are rough. There are rough days ahead of you. There will be rough days ahead. There will be days like no other. The pain that will be experienced during this season will be great. There will be great pain, great despair, great destruction, great catastrophe, great loss. This will be a season of great loss. Many people will suffer great loss during this season. The losses that people will endure will not be in any one particular area. The losses will be spread and felt throughout many areas. People will lose their hope. People will lose all sense of hope. People will become hopeless. People will lose their faith. People will become despaired. People will begin to see nothing but despair. Great despair will be experienced in this season. The events of this season will bring great despair. The despair of this season will be greater than any other season. The people's despair during this season will be greater than any other season. People will be driven to suicide. People will be driven to commit suicide. Suicide will be seen as the way of escape from the despair associated with this season. There will be an increase in violence in every community. Well, we're seeing that, and it's so evident now, and we probably hadn't seen it in every community, but every community will see its share of violence during this season. Every community will suffer its share of violence. The violence in this season will be great. The violence will be great. Many will be killed during this season. Many will see their death due to the violence of this season. In this season, people's humanity will be broken. Humanity will be humbled. Humanity, mankind, will be broken. Humanity will not be the same. Humanity will not see the same. Humanity will not think the same. Humanity will not behave the same. Now that we're in the month of September, or in the month of October at this point of my recording, the month of September has already moved us forward. The month of September has already brought us into a new chapter, a new phase of this pandemic period, which is what God stated to me, the month of September. Well, we're now in October, so we're definitely going to see an increase of all things, tremendous increase. Folks' hands are on the trigger, on their triggers. Their trigger fingers have been trembling for months now, and they're ready to nervously and anxiously pull their triggers. And I would think that October, not I would think, but I would suspect that the enemy doesn't wait until you're home or until you're alert enough before he attacks. He attempts to do it under the cover of darkness and when you're least expected. Many people are now expecting November, the election itself. And there's a lot God told me regarding the election that I will get to as well. It'll have its own topic, subtopic. But many people are now in tune, so they're looking for November to be that kickoff. Much will kick off in November. However, a lot of this stuff will begin in the month of October, or it'll begin to ramp up. It has already begun, but it'll ramp up for real now. God has given us months of preparation, I would say, for all things. However, I don't know all things. But what I tell people and what I tell my family, my kids, people who I deal with, I say, I am prepared as much as I know, as much as I can, as much as I know how to prepare for that which I do know. This is now July the 11th, not today, but I'm saying what I'm getting ready to pull from what God spoke to me on July the 11th, 2020. He said, this is a volatile season. Maybe I need to define that word. What I found out about God is that the revelation of what God is saying, the depth of what God is saying, for me, when God speaks to me, the revelation is in the definition itself. A lot of times you will think that a definition is so simple, it is what it is, face value. But when you go and look that thing up, it begins to unfold what God is actually saying. And even though I don't go through all the definitions with you as I'm going through, I have words underlined that I defined. Sometimes in one message that God gives me, I will define 300-400 words but I can't give 300 or 400 words. It will drown people out. But because I know that I am a teacher, I am one who wants to truly teach and instruct and even correct, because that's what a teacher does. In doing so, you need to know certain definitions, what certain words mean, especially when God is speaking. But God said the word volatile. Volatile means liable to sudden, unpredictable, or explosive change, tending or threatening to break up into open violence, explosive, characterized or liable to sharp or sudden change, unstable, changeable as in mood or temper, likely to change frequently without apparent reason, liable to lead to sudden change of violence, lacking stability or fixity or firmness, marked by erratic changeableness in affections or attachments, tending to vary widely, following no predictable pattern. So back to what God was saying, this is a volatile season. This entire season is volatile. This is a season full of volatile situations. Things will become volatile quickly in this season. And it is so true, which is why we don't want to have confrontations during this season. Things are volatile. Things are on edge. People are on edge. Trigger fingers are shaking and twitching, ready to pull the trigger. This is not the season to have confrontations. Confrontation is not good during this season. Confrontation will easily become extremely volatile in this season. People will not deal rationally during this season. People will be very irrational during this season. People will seek revenge quicker than other seasons. Revenge will be where people's hearts will be during this season. Revenge will be what people will seek. Stay clear of confrontation. Stay clear of anything that is confrontational. Do not go for revenge. Do not attempt to take revenge upon anyone who does you wrong. Let them do you wrong. Let them do you however they do you. And I believe God, one of the reasons why God is saying this here is because people are so on edge. You may not have a killer instinct, but some people do. A lot of people do in this season. And you may know when to pull back. You stand your ground. You say what you say. You may even yell. You might even say a word or two. However, you know when to pull back. Unlike the people that you may confront, because people are not in a good place right now. And people are not as disciplined as you are, not as understanding of the times as you may be. So they're going to take it to not just another level, to the highest level. They're going to go from 0 to 1,000 in seconds. So you might not be able to get that opportunity to pull back in your wisdom, to pull back in your discipline before they pull their trigger finger, or before they stab you, or before whatever. So it's good to just let people do you wrong. I have to remember these things as well. I'm having to live these things. I'm having to remember and stay consciously aware. Do not retaliate. Do not attempt to get revenge, whether someone cuts you off on the road or whatever. Just let it go. Let them cut you off. Let them disrespect you. Let them do you wrong. Let them do you however they do you. Do not seek to go back at anyone who does you wrong. Do not seek revenge. Just continue forward. Continue with your focus. Keep your focus. Keep focusing on what you are to focus upon. Maintain your focus. Violence will now begin to break forth. Violence will break forth in every sector. Violence will begin to break forth throughout every sector. You will see violence on a scale that will be alarming. You will see violence as you have never seen it before. You will see the type of violence that has not been heard of in the United States. The violence will be out of control. The violence will be brutal. No one will be able to curb the violence. You will begin to see underhanded deals come forth. I can only imagine what that means, but I'll read it again. You will begin to see underhanded deals come forth. People will begin to do things that will secure their future, at least in their attempts. People will begin to make agreements and pacts, P-A-C-T-S, pacts with each other that will secure their future. Their deals will be criminal. Their deals will be revealing. Their deals will be disheartening. You will see deaths as never before. All around you will be deaths. Deaths will occur all around you. Death will consume the earth. The earth will be filled with death. The grave will be full with death. Death will be seen at alarming rates. Death will occur at record numbers. Death will be experienced in a way that has never been experienced, especially within the United States. You will see death as having no end. There will seem to be no ending in sight for death. Death will consume multitudes. Death will spread itself through every sector. Every family will experience death. Death will show its strength to every family. Every family will see the death of loved ones. Every household will have its taste of death during this season. Death during this season will seem to have no end in sight. It will seem to go on forever. The death process will seem to be a never-ending process. As I spoke to you, death will lose its sting. Throughout this season, death will lose its impact. Death will become so common that people will be desensitized. Death will become so common that people will no longer be able to show their remorse. People will fail to show any remorse for those who have died during this season. There will be little or no show of remorse for those who will die during this season. People will no longer be able to mourn. The mourning of people, M-O-U-R-N, the mourning of people will cease. There will be no regard for the sanctity of life. The sanctity of life will become non-existent due to the violence and the sheer number of deaths. Death will cover the earth. Death will sweep the earth as never before. Death will consume the earth during this season. Death will be seen on a scale that has never happened before. You will experience death on a level that has never been seen before. Death is being recorded at a level that has never been recorded. History is being made at speeds that exceed history's ability to record. Again, history is being made at speeds that exceed history's ability to record. The way that things are going to be back to back, occurring back to back to back to back. Every minute seemingly something different, something more. You will begin to see the unsettling of businesses. Businesses will begin to crumble. Businesses will begin to be unhinged. Businesses will begin to unravel. Things around you will begin to unravel. You will see the breakdown of systems. Systems will begin to fall apart. Systems will begin to break down. The breakdown of systems will be alarming. The breakdown of systems will cause people to panic. People's faith will begin to leave them. People will lose their faith. People will lose hope. People will see no hope. The days will begin to get dark. Things will begin to get eerie. Things will begin to unsettle. Things will begin to get gruesome. The healthcare systems will become overwhelmed. The healthcare systems will unravel as well. The number of dead will overwhelm the healthcare system. The number of sick will cause the healthcare systems to crack. Businesses will begin to unfold. You will see the closing of major business corporations. You will see corporations lose their legitimacy. You will see corporations lose their CEOs. You will see corporations go bankrupt. You will see corporations cease in their services. There will be a shortage of food. There will be a shortage of food. Production will be produced at a much slower pace. The pace of food production will not be able to keep up with the demand. Food will begin to become scarce. Food supply will become scarce. There will be hunger like never before. Hunger will reach its peak during this season. Hunger will reach its highest peak throughout this season. Prepare yourself for what is coming. Prepare yourself for what is soon to appear. Prepare yourself for the approaching danger. Prepare yourself for the devastation. Now, on July 20th, God said something to me, some things to me, and I just want to pull the generalities out of that, and I'll speak on the more specific things under other headings. You are in a period of intuitive awareness, a period of intuition, a period of intuitive awareness. You are in a period where people are becoming intuitively aware of themselves. They're becoming intuitively aware of who they are and of who they are not. You are in a predetermined period of a predetermined awakening. This is a period of predetermined awakening where people are becoming awakened to self. People are being awakened to themselves. People are being awakened to the truth regarding themselves. People are being awakened to the reality of self. This season is predicated upon the conditioning of self. What comes out of this season for each of us individually and corporately, nations, states, cities, counties, it's predicated upon the conditioning of self. It's predicated upon you coming into a conscious awareness and checking and change within self. This season is predicated upon people's conditioning of self. This season is predicated upon people's self-awareness and their self-conditioning, which are the two necessary elements of this season: self-awareness and self-conditioning. Aware of the thing and willing to submit and commit to being conditioned from that thing. Those who are not willing to be consciously awakened to their own condition of self will not fare well in this season. Those who are not open to the conscious effort of conditioning self will not do well in this season. Those who are not interested in self during this season will not be awakened by the things regarding this season. Those who are not interested in their own truth regarding self will not be awakened by the things of this season. Those who are not concerned with their own fate will not be awakened to their fate. Those who are not interested in their own mortalness will not be concerned with the affairs of this season and will not be awakened to their own mortality. This is a self-examining period. This is a period of self-examination. This is a period where people are to examine themselves. This is a period where people are to consciously allow themselves to be examined. This is a period where people are to consciously accept the examining results of this season. This is a period where people are to correct their examined results. People will not be able to focus during this period. People will not be. God is saying right here that because of all that's going on and all that will be going on, people will not be able to focus during this period, which is why during the preparation time period that God has given us, we need to buckle down and begin to learn how to focus and to take in as much knowledge, information as we possibly can. Because once things rev up as they are now, it's going to be very hard for you to focus because you're trying to survive. It's hard for a person to learn how to work a weapon, to learn how to shoot and learn the safety of a weapon in the middle of a battle. That's something you need to prepare for beforehand. Being with an Army background, one of the things we did all the time in the 80s and the 90s was train all the time. And you train all the time so it becomes second nature for you to just respond once the war really begins and the bullets really begin to be let loose by your opponent. People will not be able to focus during this period. They'll not be able to maintain their focus due to the conditions that they will be living under. The activity during this season will be too intense for people to focus. There will be intense devastation. The devastation of this period will be intense. The devastation will be too intense for people to prepare at a later date. This is the time to prepare. This is the time for people to prepare. Things will move quickly. Things will pick up in their momentum. Things will begin to accelerate. Things will quickly pick up speed. Things will lose their normal pace. Things will lose their normal timing. Things will be out of their normal timing. Things will begin to move at a record speed. Seasons will be out of their normal timings. Seasons will be out of their normal timings. Climates will be out of their normal timing. Time itself will be out of its normal timing. Time will have no break in between. Seasons will have no break in between. Events will have no break in between. Everything is just going to connect with the other. You will begin to see the violence pick up. Violence will pick up in speed. Violence will accelerate. It will pick up in its intensity. It will spread itself throughout communities. It will be alarming. The waves, plural, the waves of events will have no break in between. From one event to the next, you won't even get over this one before this one happens. They will come in waves and there'll be no breaks in between. Time will lose its space. Everything will have a connected flow. Everything will connect with each other. There will be a continual cycle. Things will be void of interruption. There will be no interruption in cycles. Cycles will be continuous. This will be a stressing season. This will be a stressful season, a season full of stress. This season will be filled with stress. This season will create a stress that has not been known to mankind. There will be a revolt in the presidential election. I will speak on this at another time. The election will spark a revolt. A revolt will occur as a result of the election of this season. The election will prove to be unfavorable. Many will be unfavorable to the results of the presidential election. Many will behave unfavorably to the results of the election. I'll get on this when I deal with the politics of things, or should I say the subtopic regarding politics within the United States. Riots will break forth from the presidential election. The election will spark riots. There will be mass riots. There will be a mass display of riotous behavior. Riots will break out everywhere. Riots will break forth in every community. People should prepare for the riotous events of this season. July the 25th, 2020. God said to me, there is so much danger. There is so much danger. There is so much danger that is coming. There is so much awakening to be done, so much to be awakened, so much to be awakened, so much awakening to be done, so many who have not been awakened, so many people to still be awakened. Things will become gloomy. Things will become murky. Things will become spooky. Things will become unsettled. People will become unsettled. People will begin to feel the tension. We know that to be so now. People will literally feel the tension within the atmosphere. The tension will thicken. The tension will be frightening. The tension will frighten. A momentum will be released. A momentum will be released to stir up the people. People will begin to feel the momentum. The people will begin to activate. The momentum will stir up the people to begin to activate. The people will begin to set up, preparing themselves. The people will begin to get into position. They will get into their positions. They will position themselves for the danger to come. You will see militaries position themselves. You will see militants position themselves. You will see factious groups get into position. You will see the legal system position themselves. You will see law enforcement position themselves. You will see groups known for their violence become active. We're seeing all of this now. Now we are seeing it already. You will see people align themselves with groups known for their hatred. There is so much destruction. There is so much destructive devastation. There is so much chaos to come. So much is yet to come. So much has yet to be experienced. So much has yet to break forth, but it will break forth. Things will break forth. The water is about to break. The water is about to spew forth. The water within the cistern is ready and about to break. The cistern is breaking. The cistern is breaking. I remember God telling me this. There's an amazing thing about this right here, because I don't know if it was July or August, but there was an earthquake felt or happened in North Carolina, a small town in North Carolina, just perhaps northwest of Charlotte, something to that effect. Charlotte, North Carolina. And I have a son who lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. I felt it here in where I am in South Carolina. I felt the earthquake one Sunday morning as I began to study in my recording studio. And I have right in front of my desk, to the right of my desk, I have a window that has blinds. And I opened the blind for the sun to come in. It was a nice, pretty day. And I put my head down in my hands, in the palm of my hand, and my elbow was on my knee. And here I am, I bend forward, prepare myself, and I started feeling oozy. I don't like rides. When I would take my family to Disney World, which we've done so many times, I don't care how many times we have gone, out of maybe 12 to 15 times, I've only gone on rides with them one time, only because I wanted to show them that I wasn't soft, in which to a degree I am, especially when it comes to rides, something that spins around or makes dips or whatever. Several of my kids are like daredevils. They always want to try something risky, which was not me. Well, it was me, which is not me. It was at one time me, but I just won't go for it. But this was our first time. I think this was our first time at Disney World, and everybody went. My spouse, 6 of the kids, they wanted to go on Space Mountain. Another one, some mountain train, forgot what you call it, and some other splash mountain ride as well. I don't do this thing, but this being our first time, I said, okay, I'm going to go with you all, and we're going to do this here. We're going to make this happen. Now, I wasn't really jippity happy, but I wanted to, we're family. Let's do it as a family. Man, as I began to go toward Space Mountain and walking up that ramp and stuff and going up into there and going through those dungeon type halls, as though you're going into space. And the closer we got and the more I heard people scream, I remember from my youth, all the times that we would go to Disney World and go on Space Mountain. Being from Florida, we weren't but maybe 3.5 hours away from Orlando, from South Florida. I just began to remember why I don't ride, why I don't get on these rides, but I got on these rides, and I got on Space Mountain. When we got to that cart and they opened that thing for us to sit down, I wanted to say to my family, look, I'll meet you all on the exit part of things. I'm not getting on this. I literally wanted to do that, but that was a long walk back. So I didn't. I got on it with them, and boy, did I pay for ever going on that with them. And I said, I'll never go on it again, and I didn't. Same thing with Splash Mountain. I didn't like that. I will never go on that one again. I just don't want it. Or that other mountain train ride, whatever it's called. Not that either. Well, I don't like excitement of that sort. So when I was sitting here that Sunday morning in either late July or August, I can't remember when this earthquake happened in North Carolina in 2020, several months ago. But I immediately started feeling nauseated and shaky, and I thought, well, maybe my pressure or maybe my blood sugar. I didn't know what was going on. And I looked up and I saw my blinds just shaking. And then I felt my recording studio shaking. And when I looked out the window, just looked straight through the blinds, I could see there's a big tree out there, or there was a big tree. I cut that tree since that situation. But that tree began to shimmy and began to shake. And I'm like, man, what is that? And then it stopped. maybe, well, when I began to do what I came out here to do, or into my study to do, I began to see all of these alerts pop up on my iPad, and I kept trying to ignore them, but they kept popping up from the Weather Channel. And then I finally just reached over maybe an hour or something later, and let me see what this is. And it was stating about the earthquake. I immediately called my son in Charlotte because the message said that it was near Charlotte. So I called my son, and generally I've known him to be a late sleeper, but it was like 8 o'clock or 8 something, I don't know, that morning. I called him and he was awake. And I said, "Hey, what's up?" I said, "Did you feel something today?" And he said, "Yes, I did." He said, "I was in bed and my bed just began to shake and it woke me up and it scared me." And I said, "Do you realize that was an earthquake?" He said, "Now I do, because I saw stuff being posted out on social media." I don't follow all of that like that. But anyway, he does apparently. Then later on, they showed a video in the town that it happened in, and underneath the ground, they said water pipes busted, or water reservoirs or water cisterns or whatever broke. And you see the road where the earthquake took place, where the earth was cracked open extensively right in the middle of roads, and there was water just spewing out of those cracked portions of the road. Now let's read what God said to me again here. Let me go back and say it again. So much is yet to come. So much has yet to be experienced. So much has yet to break forth, break forth, break forth. An earthquake is something that happens underneath the surface of the earth, generally in the ocean surface, and the platelets, they shift. That shifting is created and causes a ripple throughout underneath the earth's surface. So much has yet to break forth, but it will break forth. Things will break forth. The water is about to break. The water is about to spew forth. The water within the cistern is ready and about to break forth. The cistern is breaking. The cistern is breaking as we speak. Things will break forth like a broken cistern. Things will break forth like a broken cistern filled with water. The time for the dam to be released is here. You are in the period of the dam being released. A dam is something that holds back a body of water. It holds it back. A dam has so much force behind it that it can create power for a particular area or for a particular purpose. Literal power. That's how much energy, that's how much force is behind water that is being held back. Dams are built, walls are built to hold water back. It says the time for the dam to be released is here. You are in the period of the dam being released. The dam is being released. The water is breaking. The water is breaking forth. Everything that the dam has held back is being released. Everything that the dam contained is being let forth. The dam is releasing its contents. The contents of the dam are being released. Things will break forth quickly. My phone rang and kind of messed me up, messed my flow up. But that happens sometimes in your recordings. You don't cut things off like you should. Let me go back to that. Those are just natural causes that happen, especially when you're negligent. And for me, I am negligent on what I should have done. I'm not a good multitasker when I'm in my spiritual aspect of things, and then things like this occur. It's good that this happened because it helps you to understand that I'm just as normal and as human as anybody else, and that there is life outside of what I do here. But this right here gives my life content. And then I hope that my life gives content to others. But this is the time of the morning. I'm early in the morning here. This is the time in the morning that one or two or more of my kids, who are no longer kids, they're all adults now, pretty much, who are in the military, will call me and touch bases with me to say hello, good morning, make sure everything is good with me. And then I get to make sure everything is good with them. But let's get back into that. Things will break forth quickly. There will be no time to prepare. There was no time to prepare for that earthquake when it happened. And it's something how the ground broke, the cisterns, the water wells or the water reservoir or whatever was underneath the surface began to spew forth. And I saved that video. I have that very video from the news media. Things will happen suddenly. Things will happen without warning. There will be no warnings. The warnings are now. There is not much time to prepare. There is not much time to get yourself prepared. There will be no alarm. The alarm is sounding now. The time is approaching where minutes will matter. The minutes are approaching. The minutes are quickly approaching. At one point, I understood that we had months. At another point of this, I understood that things were turning into weeks. God says the time is approaching where minutes will matter. The minutes are approaching. Now it's no longer weeks. It's now minutes. This was in early July that God stated this to me, and now we're in early October. The minutes are approaching, so the minutes have to be here. See how time is collapsing? There's no space in between time. You're seeing events connect with each other. The minutes are quickly approaching. You are coming into the minutes of this season. You are coming to the point of only having minutes before it all appears. At one point we had months. At another point we had weeks. Now we're only in minutes. Or if we're not in minutes, at the least we're in days now. We're in days. So from months to weeks to days and going into minutes, if we're not already there. You're coming to the point of only having minutes before it all appears. The time is approaching where minutes will be the only thing relating to time that will separate you from all that is to be. Time will function in ways you have not seen. Time will lose its sense of meaning. Time will move quickly. Time will get away quickly. Time will lose its distance. Time will have no break, or there will be no break in time. There will be no break between times. Time will be one big lump. Time will be one big gob. Amazing. Very amazing. Very forthtelling. Leaves you to your imagination. And even in your imagination, it will not be sufficient enough to express and explain exactly what we're getting ready to experience. This is a very serious time period we're in. And I hope that people, those of you who hear my voice, have already began to take heed, and perhaps you've heard someone else say some of these things, and what I'm saying is confirmation. or what I'm saying is bringing the confirmation and bringing greater substance, or perhaps what I'm saying is your first time hearing. I don't know what the case is, only you do. But I just want to add to your information. I want you to get whatever I am to give you. I am in no sense thinking that I am the authority on what is going to occur. I don't know if anyone is, though some may think that those they know are. I won't say that I am the authority on it. I am only given the portion that I've been given to share with whoever it is that I'm sharing it with, because I'm just speaking to a microphone, and through a microphone at this point in time. I'm not speaking to an audience that I can see, an audience that I know, your backgrounds and whatever else. I am just speaking from what God has given me. So anyway, there you have it. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see what we can accomplish in that. And I appreciate you listening to me. Until the next one.